Now, let's get started. What we've been working on is thinking about how the setting plays a role in our understanding of a character, and how one person might be this way in situation A, in this way, or setting A, and this way in setting B. But what we're going to work on today is something a little different. We're going to look at the way a familiar setting can change. Right? Not physically, but psychologically. So I'm going to show you a clip here from Stranger Things. And I got to warn you, there's one bad word in here. Listen, it begins with a B, but to be honest with you, it's not as bad as some of the stuff I've heard in the hallway. Now listen, if you are uncomfortable with hearing a bad word, you can just close your ears and watch, and I think you'll still understand the point of what we're doing. Okay, now in this part of the movie, or the show, Stranger Things, the boys, they've just finished playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's like D&D. We have a D&D club with Miss B and Mr. Carroll. And they're riding their bikes home, right? So think about your life. When you ride your bike home from your friend's house, is it an unfamiliar place? Is it a bike ride you've done before? Yeah, it's the same way home, right? Same as always. Okay, so we're going to see the guys ride home like they normally do, but this time a familiar setting is going to feel different. And I'm going to ask you how it feels different when I turn it off in 2 minutes. Okay? You ready?
Yes.
What are you doing there, Gina? What's in your pocket? Nothing? Okay, here we go. You can take notes if you like.
Used to be cool. Like I thought you dressed up as an elf for our Elder Free campaign.
4 years ago!
Yes, I am.
Later.
It was a 7. The roll, it was a 7. The Demogorgon, it got me. Well, see you tomorrow.
Those kids are so young. How can they swear?
They're like,
Dude,
you're young.
They look like they're in third grade.
Now, that ride home, it's a ride home that this character has made many times. It's a familiar setting. Physically, the setting hasn't changed, but it's changed psychologically. Okay? So, how did the director, how did we see that in the show? How do we know that it changed psychologically? What did we see? Just tell me. Shout out some answers. What'd you notice? The background music, right? Made it tense. What else?
Was there fog?
There was fog, right? The fog rolled in. Right? The weather always carries lots of information about the setting. What else? There was the fog, there was the shadow, there was the light on his bike that went out. But these are all kind of craft devices that the director uses to create a feeling in the viewer. Right? And this has an effect on the character. How does that character act? He's scared, right? On a normal day, would he run into his house like that?
No.
Probably not. So what we see is that we have a change in the setting, but it's not a physical change. It's a change in the way the setting feels. And this causes a change in the character's behavior. Right? So this is one more way that we're going to deepen our understanding and deepen our thinking about characters. Is by knowing that a setting can change physically and also psychologically. So the feeling in the same place can change. So I want to give you an example from the book First French Kiss. We have popularity and we have the fight. Now, we're not going to learn about how the fight ends today. I know you are curious to see how that ends. But that'll be tomorrow. I'm going to read you two parts, a part of popularity and then a part of the fight. And remember that in both excerpts, CJ, in both parts, the setting is the same. Okay, it's Will's neighborhood, Will's school. But I'm going to ask you how the psychological setting is different. Right, so the first one is from popularity. Okay. No one knew because no one noticed. No one had called him for months. But my phone rang. My weekends were filled with sleepovers and baseball games and bowling parties and bicycle races and rounds of golf and more new friends than I knew what to do with. Okay. That's from popularity after Mitch kind of disappears. So what kind of place does this feel like for Will? What kind of places? How can we describe this setting psychologically? What kind of feelings come with it? What do you think? Lauren, what do you think? Does it sound like a fun place? Bowling parties, baseball games, movies. Sounds like a friendly atmosphere, right? Lots of things to do. So many friends. Yeah. Okay. Lots of friends. Even though he's suspicious of his new friends and his kind of newfound fame, it feels great there, right? So we could think this setting has changed, right? We have Will with the Allens around the oak tree. Right? The feeling there is one way. Now he's part of the cool kids. He's one of them. Feels great. Lots of activities on the weekend. There's a lot going on. Everyone's friendly. And now let's skip forward to 8th grade. Minu. 8th grade now. This is from the fight. It began with a basketball game. Mike Dichter and I went up for the same rebound, and I accidentally stuck my elbow in his chest. Then Mike stuck his elbow in my chest, pointed a finger at me, and told me to watch out. In those days, I had a reputation for toughness to maintain, so I told him that he better watch out. And on the next rebound, neither of us watched out, and both of us got elbows in the chest. Then we started shoving each other under the basket and pointing fingers and making threatening faces, which was fine with me because looking threatening was one of the things I did best. Before things could get out of hand, however, gym ended. Mike and I glared at each other and went back to our respective homerooms. Now, let's think. It's the same place, right? It's Will's school. Psychologically, how has the setting changed? Turn and talk. Huh? You went your original word. Talk there. So you can work with the harder girl. Just sit with them today. So what I'm hearing is that the feeling has changed, right? Much different than the bowling parties and movie nights. What else did he do? Bowling parties, movies, sleepovers, baseball games, bicycle races. It's a lot different in 8th grade. Right? Just if you accidentally touch me, boom, elbow to the chest. Okay? So this place is much more intimidating. Okay? It's scary. You've got to be tough. Right? So this change in setting may contribute to a change in will. Right? So as a reader, we've got to think, okay, there's a change in the setting, and this causes a change in my main character. So now I feel more sympathetic to the character, to the way the character changed, and who that character has become. All right? So we got to think. Another example is middle school. Right up here, look. In grade 6, where you are right now. When you start grade 6, it's kind of intimidating. New teachers, 7th graders and 8th graders are much bigger than most of you, not all of you. So the feeling is kind of intimidating at the beginning, at least. Then in grade 7, it's exciting. Okay, you have kids older than you, kids younger than you. You're in the middle. You really enjoy middle school. In grade 8, nostalgic, because now you're at the top of the food chain in the middle school. Kings of the middle school, queens of the middle school. But then you think, oh, next year, 9th grade, I'm back to the bottom. So you feel nostalgic, right? And you long to go back to Mr. Rago's grade 6 English class, right? And you say to yourself, that was the most wonderful time of my life. Right? So the point of that, the pictures up there is that the setting doesn't change, right? It's the same school, but the feeling changes each year. Okay? Now, what I want you to do in your book is find a spot where the setting changes. It could be a physical change, like they fast forward in time, where they open a door and walk into a magical world. Find a spot where the setting changes physically or psychologically. Find it now. Open your book. Time. Two. Whose shoe is that? And why is it off?
What page are you? I cannot find it because I just found it. What?
All right, give me a thumbs up when you find a change in the setting. Okay, now, what I want you to ask your partner is, has this change in the setting, physical or psychological, contributed to a change in the character? Okay, just like Will, we see that the change in the setting caused a change in Will. So you're going to ask yourself if the same thing's happening in your book. Okay, so talk to your partner. James, can you think about an old book, like a change in the setting?
Change of setting, change.
Sure.
He was very, very scared and
No.
very scared. But before like he just goes anywhere.
Someone spiked me.
You all done talking?
I read till 160.
All done?